Good morning, good evening, and keep it tight. Welcome to Liquidmatrix Security Digest Hacker Radio. We are back, and we have the entire crew here this week with myself, as always, is Dave Lewis, because I can't really get away from myself, Ben Shapiro, Matt Johansson, Will Knoll, and on our Wheels of Steel is James Arlen. So I should point out that this show does not represent the thoughts, intentions, plans, strategies, blah, 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 of our girlfriends, wives, bellylint, or the militant wing of the Girl Guides. It is solely our personal opinion. We make no guarantees to the accuracy.
Episode 6F. That's the centennial episode, folks.
Wait, hang on. Let me do my hexadecimal conversion and carry the 1 and 100.
Wow.
I had to use the extra finger.
You're good at math. Yeah, everybody, this is well, because we've done a lot of other things along the way. It isn't just the audio podcast. There's been the security briefings. There's been a bunch of old television episodes from like 2012 and a bunch of new television episodes from like 2016. By the way, I am James Arlen, and with me is Ben Shapiro.
Hello.
The rest of the gang is elsewhere. It's probably the best to put it. I mean, we only recorded live together last week for the first time ever and can't get them together for another podcast to save ourselves. So
the universe will implode if we all are in the same room for more than an hour.
Something like that. In news that may be interesting to some of you and may mean absolutely nothing to all of you, there's also a video version of this available on Liquidmatrix TV. You've been getting a bunch of audio minis lately. All the audio minis come with video. And you could go to Liquidmatrix TV on YouTube and subscribe, and that would be awesome.
I think the best feedback I got from one of the first, I think the third video one that we shot was from your friend and mine, Lee, who said, I like number 3 the best because it shows how absolutely broken Ben is, because I had a cold and I think I picked up conference laryngitis from Sector. And so my voice was changing within the 2-minute episode as it unbroke itself.
Nicely done. This is a very full show because, well, there's lots of news, but there's only 2 of us, so it can't possibly run that long. There's no way we could argue our way through an entire hour or anything, right?
Challenge accepted.
Oh, balls. All right, well then, InfoSec Monkey is going to have to let you know when you're doing things wrong, okay?
Why don't I get an InfoSec Monkey?
Because you didn't have a daughter give you an InfoSec Monkey like 15 years ago? Just saying.
Fair enough.
When you work from home, your office collects all kinds of things. I mean, we've also got Left Shark available for all your dancing needs. I don't get out much. This is what I'm saying. This is pretty much where I spend all of my time.
I just have this. Wait, sorry. Not brought to you by them, otherwise we'd be violating advertising standards or something.
Well, exactly. And we wouldn't want to violate anything or anyone because that would be bad. And now people can see where we live.
I live in this mess which my wife is embarrassed about, and every year she makes me to promise to clean it up, and I do, and it's on the backlog, sweetheart.
Yeah, I'm sure that you run your house on an agile basis, sir.
Yes, but the backlog is massive.
Yeah. We got news, we got breaches, we got SCADAs and cybers and so forth. We got some wild derps. And then apparently we're going to talk about things that we did recently and, I don't know, hug it out or something. And then we'll be done and you'll get your life back. And we apologize for the fact that you can claim 1 hour of CPE for this. Just like the news from ISACA this morning, that if I fill out their survey, which should take me 20 minutes, I can claim a full CPE for that.
Isn't that auditor math?
ISACA, where filling out a fucking survey gets you continuing professional education credit.
Let's just assume that they're trying to incent people as opposed to scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, well, if the kind of people that are going to answer it are incented by an hour of CPE for answering a survey, you probably don't want their responses anyways. With that, I think it's time for the news, and because Matt's not around, I get the first story. Ha 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 ha.
The first 100th story.
Yes. In this interesting news, Apple has introduced what it calls an easier to use portable music player. Oh, sorry.
Wait, did you do a time warp?
October 24th, 2001.
Is there something special about this date I'm unaware of?
Well, yeah, it's easy to remember the date that the iPod was introduced because I didn't notice. I was busy at the introduction of my youngest daughter to the world. Every year we keep threatening to buy her an original iPod as her birthday present. And each year she tells us that 5 gigs doesn't hold nearly enough music to satisfy her requirements.
So belated happy birthday by one day then? Yes?
Yeah, something like that. Also, she claims that her computer doesn't have a FireWire port. And then she says, whatever the hell that is.
But you can get a USB to FireWire adapter dongle thing, which probably costs more than the iPod original.
Yeah, probably. That means that it's time for a completely illegitimate segue into your story.
Wait, you were going to try and engineer something for that?
Hell no.
Okay, fine. So let's talk about responsible disclosure. And then let's talk. But let's take a leap forward into a weird and troubling future, which happened a few months ago. Profitable disclosure. And I don't mean selling your vulnerabilities to the highest malware weapons vendor ever, nor do I mean bug bounties. What I mean is that there's a consultancy called MedSec, which obviously by its name specializes in medical device and medical system security.
Sure.
Found a vulnerability in St. Jude's pacemaker.
Okay.
And so you'd think... and especially, based on some of the research done by other notable people in the field in medical security, that they'd go and tell St. Jude's promptly. Nope.
Would be the ethical thing to do, yes.
Yeah.
Because this sounds like it's a life safety issue.
It does.
Is it a life safety issue, Ben?
I believe pacemakers are a life safety issue. I'm going to say Barnaby Jack was working on some of that before his untimely passing.
That is very true, yes.
And so, however you think an organization might respond as a security researcher, whether you have a CISP thing or whatever,
sure.
One would hope that you would do the right thing.
That does seem to be the basis of A, continuing to be a member of the human race, and B, being a good guy.
Yeah. So they instead decided to go and partner with a organization called Muddy Waters. And when I looked up Muddy Waters for the first time, turns out I think he was a blues singer from back in the day.
Yes.
Who passed many years ago. Not that Muddy Waters, because obviously not alive. This Muddy Waters is a responsible disclosure investment firm. So they do diligence on investments, and then ultimately I'm sure they'd find a way to make a nifty profit from that.
Sure. I'll believe anything today. It's a Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday. And so what they did is they took a market position against St. Jude and then released the findings.
I know a guy who talked about stuff like that.
Now, I'll be honest, I am a bit jealous because, hey, it's not insider trading.
I think I predicted that in 2011.
You did?
Balls.
Why didn't you do it?
Remember that E word I used before? Ethics, wanting to remain a member of the human race.
Right. Yeah.
Is MedSec part of the Angry Cheeto Squadron?
No, they don't have assholes for eyes.
Okay. Well, I tried.
You tried, but thank you.
Out there.
Anyways, St. Jude responded. No surprise. And sued.
Oh, good.
Sued under the DMCA and sued under what was it? I forget, the Computer Fraud. There we go. For an Abuse Act. Yeah, CFFA. So, on first blush,
train wreck. What a train wreck.
Yeah. So here's where it gets a little more interesting. Today, MedSec announces that they had their findings independently validated by Bishop Fox.
Okay.
So the DMCA has provisions that say for security research, you can do this sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little hard unless they actually went on St. Jude servers to claim that it was computer fraud or abuse of any sort.
I think the SEC would be interested in it.
SEC would be, but it's not insider trading. It didn't have access to proprietary information. They took a publicly available market device and...
It's position making.
It is.
Cool. Well, I'm in the wrong goddamn business, aren't I?
Clearly. So, interestingly
I've
enough,
just been screwed.
Wait, what is that? And why is that anatomically incorrect?
Well, because it has a big butt.
And it cannot lie or something? I don't know. Wow. Please send HR complaints to the Mrs. Arlen. Anyways, so now that they have independent confirmation of their findings, so they aren't spurious claims, and I think they've got a legally defensible position as it comes from the DMCA and the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, I think this is probably going to make St. Jude sort of lose. I don't know where they're going to go with the SEC thing, if at all. But you think that St. Jude's lawyers would have chosen better legislation to go after them under than things that were right. On the flip side, though, putting aside the potentially deplorable behavior of MedSec and this whole life safety issue, St. Jude should have still responded with, "Oh crap, vulnerability. How do we fix it now?" And all the pacemakers.
You'd think.
So here's the thing, right? So MedSec.
Do not start with the thing. I don't want to hear about the thing.
What thing?
Whatever you were trying to say that's going to make this all reasonable.
It's not reasonable,
but
it's an interesting thing to watch. It's a thing. So here's what I find interesting. So St. Jude will probably lose their claim under those two pieces of legislation.
Sure.
Maybe they'll take a third round and go via the SEC for some sort of something that along the lines of, as you said, market or position making. But ultimately, their claims, MedSec's claims, are going to bear true. They've had independent confirmation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's never going to go away.
Yep.
This might be an interesting forum that sets some sort of case law about vulnerability disclosure and vulnerability response. That would be interesting. That would be a thing.
If nothing else, it'll start setting timers on those things.
Maybe the win is MedSec gets their hands very badly slapped, fined for the amount of money that they made via their deal with Muddy Waters.
Yeah.
But in exchange, the judge goes, if you had have behaved in a certain way, such and this and this and this and this, I would have found that defensible. Right. And that might be the best outcome for our community.
Absolutely. That gets to the point that we've all kept trying to make, which is until somebody judicial pays attention to this stuff, it's not really going to matter, largely because Congress critters aren't going to do anything about it, and nobody's going to budge on anything until the United States makes a decision. So this sounds like, as horrifying as it sounds, the best possible set of outcomes.
One hopes. Unless Lord Cheeto gets in power, and then...
all hail Lord Cheeto.
Wait, are we opening our houses as sort of a refugee program for cybersecurity professionals from America?
I have suggested this to more than one or two. Yes.
All right.
Also, if that happens and he manages to repeal NAFTA, we'll be looking for work. So y'all let me know how that works out for you.
Fingers crossed. All right. Hey, let's talk about responsible standardy stuff.
Oh, I was going to say this is all about anti-bribery and anti-corruption. Places where you do not expect to see the phrase International Standards Organization and anti-bribery, anti-corruption. Like one of these things is not like the other.
Are we talking about the Olympic Committee or soccer league or something?
No, this is just the International Standards Organization. How many Swiss francs have you paid for all of your standards?
None. Like all good people, I steal them off the internet. Sorry, I mean from my auditors. Wait, sorry, I didn't commit to a crime. Didn't confess to a crime. Can we please delete this all? I should leave now, right? I'll just drink.
Yeah, they released a new standard, just to add to the confusion, and somewhat hilariously. 37,001 is the...
How do they pick numbers for these things?
I don't know. It's the anti-bribery and corruption standard. The global standard for anti-bribery and corruption management systems. So you can expect
Does this tell you how to do it?
Well, no, it tells you how to set up the department that does it. 37,002 will tell you how to actually do it.
Okay.
You think I'm joking, don't you?
No, I'm thinking back to ISO 27K/1/2. I get confused.
Yeah. One tells you how to set up the department. Two tells you actually how to do security shit. The number of times I see people saying, oh, yeah, we're 27,001 compliant. It's like, that's great. You can run an information security department. Congrats.
But only one of those is a certification standard. The other one's a management standard.
But can you actually do any of it?
No, don't be silly. I just got a certification.
Yeah, well, ISO 37001 is designed to help organizations establish, implement, maintain, and improve an anti-bribery compliance program. Here's the thing. It's nice to have. If you live in the world of having to pay attention to these things, you're involved in banking, or you're involved in large-scale manufacturing and product acquisition, knowing how these things work from both a active, that being a payor, and passive, that being a recipient of bribes, is kind of awesome. It really helps out with the U.S. Foreign Corrupt Practices Act requirements. This is actually really good stuff, and it's interesting seeing the places that information security touches, those sort of critical adjacent parts of the world, having the standards that they can rely on so that we can rely on them in turn. All the know your customer stuff gets a whole lot easier when you can lean on somebody else's standard.
Very true, although I do sometimes take a bit of a concern. It annoys me a bit that ISO is so self-referential. So in day job, we're looking at a non-security ISO standard.
Yep.
Market research. I work in a market research SaaS company. And within it references, by the way, in order to protect data collected through market research, you must be ISO 27K.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but that might be kind of hunting the mosquito with the elephant gun in that scenario. Sometimes within those standards, there's not enough of a distinction to say you should have practices that are similar to, but you don't necessarily need a certification. It feels like in those scenarios, you're going for the self-perpetuating, all right, so I want to get that certification, so I have to get that certification, so that and that. And shit, I'll just buy the whole thing, and I'll buy an audit firm, and they can just be busy for the next decade with me.
Yeah, I liken this to every time I work on vendor security reviews or vendor risk reviews, and they demand a copy of my SOC 2 and then ask me to fill out their 1,000-page effing questionnaire. And it's like, either you're going to take my SOC 2 and you're going to walk away and keep your mouth shut, or I'm going to fill out your 1,000 questionnaire, 1,000-item questionnaire, not both.
I had an interesting conversation about that recently, and I got some clarity on why that's happening.
Sure.
It's not a good answer. It's not the answer I wanted, but at least it's one that gives me a framework to understand it. So credit to somebody I work with who's been around the traps, not in security, but in product development a lot. And so he gave me some insight and said something to the effect of, and if I'm doing this badly, it's my fault. If it sounds great, it's his credit. It's about context switching. And so if you ask somebody to context switch, and we know this, it's expensive, right? If you go to somebody, here's my SOC 2, and you go fill in your big form that your compliance / procurement / legal people expect to see completed before they move forward, you're asking them to context switch.
Mm-hmm.
And versus if they go, hey, you're the vendor, you go do it, you're reducing their cost of operations. They're, of course, increasing yours. And so as much as I agree with you and I and Dave and have had like violent arguments all in favor of our position of this is silly, understanding that people don't want to context switch says that we need to do more around giving people some sort of a way to interface with SOC 2 information in a way that they can consume and convert it. Oh, wait, I think we did that. So
yeah, that problem's been hammered into the ground. Yeah, and I mean, ultimately, certainly in my universe, the more complexity you run me through as your vendor, the higher you pay for the product.
The security tax, I like to call it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Speaking of security things, segue into.
Can we actually just go back to bribery for a second though? Before, sorry, I like it.
All right, go back to bribery.
It's an incredibly.
You'll owe me for it, but go back.
I will. Well, I owe you for so many things. Like I stopped counting a long time ago. It's all good.
Bribery talk.
So when I was back at a Big Four thinger, one of my colleagues that sat nearby me was an anti-bribery person and also an anti-money laundering person, and it's an area that has got a lot of tension from the executives, especially in the financial institutions market.
Yeah.
And so the great news is now that there's a standard around it, and That's standard, I'm guessing, and not having paid my Swiss francs, I hope you did, Jamie, that it probably says something about thou shalt be. Oh, wait, can you do a Swiss voice? I can't do a Swiss voice. Ricola. That's about it.
Yeah.
Other than Ricola, that they have to comply or should be complied or will be encouraged to comply with. What did you say? 35,001, 37,001?
37,001.
It's like a space odyssey. We'll probably somewhere inside there reference 27K.
Probably.
And so
in the article, it does state that they reference 14,001 and 9,001. So those are the quality standards.
So there's a good chance it might be in there too.
Yep.
And so if that is true, then you as the cybersecurity infosecchi person inside the organization can now go to your anti-money laundering and anti-bribery friends and go, hey, I can help you close the gap on your program faster.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a good thing, I think, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's go into breaches.
Fine, be that way. Yes, breaches.
No, wait, you want to go back?
No, hell no.
Okay, all right. So Vera Bradley, who I've never shopped at because I am not a beautiful woman, had a security breach.
Flower.
What?
But you are a special flower.
I am a special flower. We can talk about lovely feelings later, can we? All right. And so the nice people at Vera Bradley unfortunately had a little bit of a security breach. And so if you've ever shopped there, obviously, or your partner, spouse, whatever, has shopped there anywhere between July and September of this year, you might want to check it out. Their retail stores were compromised. The payment card systems were compromised. Quote unquote, there's no evidence to suggest that the payment card details of the online customers are at risk. That's great. So if you shopped online, apparently you're safer. The bad news is this comes right in the middle of, as Vera Bradley's trying to do some rebranding and reorganizing of their company. And so much like Yahoo, they're probably going to experience some lesser outcomes because the information gets released at an inopportune time.
Yeah.
Why can't retailers all just switch to Stripe? Wouldn't it solve the problem?
Hubris?
Right.
Are not known for having their act together. I mean, I could go on for hours about how Sears completely screwed over their chances. I mean, we wouldn't be talking about Amazon if Sears had pulled their head out of their asses and noticed the internet.
Well, our business model is inviolable. People always want to come into stores and browse around crappy stuff nobody wants.
No. You forget about Sears catalog mail order systems.
I'm not that old.
You're not that much older than me. No, you're younger than me.
I'm an immigrant. I didn't grow up with Sears catalogs.
Oh, right. I keep forgetting that you're a visible minority.
I am. By the way, Americans, I'm here to steal your jobs.
Yeah, this is what happens when you let the... I can't even make those jokes.
What? Oh, right. Yeah. You shouldn't.
Chunky White Guy says, I don't make racial jokes. Not a thing. Oh my grandparents would be making jokes up one side of you and down the other.
Hey, as a visible minority, I'm allowed to make these sort of jokes.
Yes, you are.
There you go. Our HR department is located at... Say your address now.
So one of those things that you always want to see two words jammed together, Modbus Eavesdropper. Can
you say that fast 3 times?
No. Especially as this is a commercial product. Yes, this is a Modbus Eavesdropper that is a commercial product. It watches...
Is the marketing department dead?
No. It watches real-time Modbus communications and translates them into either things that get jammed onto an MQTT topic or into JSON objects that get tossed around using HTTP, HTTPS. So it's a way to get all of that really great industrial information that you got floating around a production system into a IoT-friendly format.
I thought you were going to say half-assed Ruby on Rails app, but yeah, I like yours better.
Oh yeah, I thought that's how all IoT works.
Because when you say JSON, I say Ruby on Rails half-assed app.
YAML.
What's that with? Computers use JSON, humans use YAML, and nobody uses XML.
That's pretty accurate.
There we go. Somebody said to me, you should have used XML for that. And I stopped and looked at them and said, when you solve a problem with XML, now you have two problems.
You can just put the binary object into XML carrier tags, and then you've got XML.
No, you don't. You really don't. Wait, we should parse this with Java. Then we have an infinitely recursing problem.
Depending on whether or not you've got a version mismatch on your JRE.
I'll just turn on my flux capacitor and we'll have a nice day.
Terrific. So why don't you just continue this IoT horror with putting two words together that shouldn't be together?
Wait, can I make you like Twitch for a second?
I used Modbus Eavesdropper. What are you coming up with, smartass?
SCADA IoT. No, you're not twitching yet. This isn't working like I expected.
No, try again.
All right. Oh, wait, the first comment is by a guy called Dave, who suspiciously looks like our Dave, but it's not. All right, so Krebs on security, the internet's early warning system. Apparently well, I learned something new here. There is a newly launched Senate Cybersecurity Caucus. Oh, now he's twitching.
That's just not right. I don't want to hear about senators having cyber anything.
Cybersecurity caucuses.
No cybersecurity caucus.
There's even a press release in here. Should I read the Hey, wait. So, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yes.
Vogue on Poetry.
Yes.
Do you think U.S. Senate press releases are anything like Vogue on Poetry?
I have a horrifying feeling you're going to share that with us.
My curly little snuffle bug. From whence I... No? Okay. I'm sorry, I don't have any tattoos of Vogue on Poetry anywhere.
No, it's that the show notes have the words senator and IoT together, and then you added cybersecurity and caucus.
That word doesn't mean what you think it means. Anyways.
I'm 8 years old most of the time, man. If you say caucus, you're going to get a laugh out of me.
All right. What are you, 5? So
8.
All right, fair enough. So in an ungodly getting togetherness of Senate, cybersecurity, and caucus... Is that what it looks like? Yeah, so they're pushing for federal agencies to respond to the security threats from Internet of Things devices.
Okay.
And they've sent letters. I'm pretty sure this makes them Canadian.
Good for them.
Letters to the FCC, the FTC, DHS, Betamax, VHS, and somebody else. I don't know. So it's kind of interesting, though, and not to do the all sort of false attribution, let's blame some other country, but the vast majority of these problems are coming from countries that are outside the jurisdiction of this lot.
Mm-hmm.
At least from a manufacturing perspective. I'm not saying there's any nasty, evil conspiracy to do any bad thing to the world. It's just this country happens to be producing a shit ton of shitty devices.
Yeah.
But
it's pronounced Gina.
When they make you climb the wall to get in to do your day job.
Yes.
Yeah.
The one that Canada's going to fund, I know.
But I want to use this into a bit of a segue because everybody's going, and I can't pronounce their name properly, so apologies to the nice people in China. Xiongmai Technologies.
Okay.
Excuse me, folks. If you're fluent in Chinese or know how to pronounce that, please send us a pithy video explaining why we're guailos. So they responded. They recalled all their products. I think Chriseng came out with a little poll on Twitter that says, how many people will actually return their device? 0, not a zip or zilch. I chose zilch because who uses that word anymore? Apparently I was wrong. And so they're going to do a recall. Great. The Senate caucus is sending letters to people that can't really do anything about it. And let me guess, if they actually block the devices coming into the country, that would be some sort of violation of free trade agreements. So that won't really work. Yeah. And it got me thinking, what is sort of the thing that people could do to actually fix this problem? And yeah, you can say, vote with your feet, buy secure products, have some sort of, underwriter's laboratory. None of that's going to work.
How can you tell? It's not exactly written on the outside of the package.
No, exactly. Here's the thing. The attack against DIN, which had the collateral damage against other companies out there, was possible because of DNS servers hopping through random requests quite happily and not going, hey, let me rate limit you, or hey, you've asked for the same thing in 15 different ways, let me shut you down. And so I think the thing that we should be really looking at is how do, again, we get ISPs and other people that operate DNS servers to lock those puppies down?
I believe that's called hardening guidelines. It's a part of every information security set of regulations and rules I've ever read.
But let's take, I don't know, Bind or whatever the product is that somebody decides to use, Blue Cat, I don't care, and make it by default locked down so that you have to open things up. But if you open them up with, I don't know, star all request, the box just goes, yep, sorry, I'm not running, you did a stupid. Because that would take away this attack vector. Otherwise, people are inheriting the poor security practices, not only of Xiong Mai's management, I suppose, who let this happen, but also of all the people who don't know how to run DNS servers properly. And it's not because they're lazy, it's because they haven't been given the time or directed to or the education to look into it. I hope it's not because they're lazy.
This is probably the part where I have to read from a Dan Kaminsky article on DNS from 2008.
Go for it. Let us hear what the Lord Sage Kaminsky says. I can only hold his pose for so long. Come on.
It's unbelievable. He goes through and describes exactly this this problem and its potential solutions.
We should put that in the show notes, right?
In August of 2008.
Don't you like when somebody's right like 8 years before their time and then gets ignored?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna experience that fairly often for the rest of my fucking life. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and put that in the show notes right now while you go on to talk about more video camera problems.
Nice segue. So I swear, this is not The Onion, but that not so delightful terrorist organization. Okay, they're a terrorist organization, never gonna be delightful. Is complaining about video cameras. And so this is Hamas, senior officials are complaining about video cameras into towns because apparently the cameras are allowing Israeli security forces to figure out that they're doing bad things and stop them. I'm pretty sure they'll be in some sort of EU privacy legislation real soon. Yeah. Not The Onion.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about the DMV because they're only slightly more ridiculous than Hamas at this point.
All right, so...
No, I didn't call the DMV a terrorist organization.
If you've ever stood in line in one, you would understand. I'm going to mispronounce his name, but you remember OpenDNS?
Before or after Cisco-thon?
Before.
Okay. All right, go for it.
So that'd be Dave Vilveich.
Mm-hmm.
He put in an application for a vanity license plate. I'm guessing that he bought a nice car to go with his Cisco money.
Good for him.
And he went for the number 1 NFOS3C.
You said a bad word.
In Haxor language, that would be InfoSec. And the California DMV has stated that this plate configuration has a sexual connotation or is a term of lust or depravity.
Wait, why didn't he just apply for a new license plate that said cyber?
According to the California DMV, we're sex workers.
Wait, have they ever met any of us?
Well, based on the fact that the California DMV has at least one publicized breach recently.
That'd be a no.
That would be I don't think they know what InfoSec is.
Why don't we just send Dave a sticker that says InfoSec on it?
I got nothing. This is ridiculous. The world has become ridiculous. Do you want to know what's more ridiculous than the California DMV and their stupid decision about sexual connotations of the word InfoSec?
That Trump is running for president somehow?
No, that was a joke for a long time now. It's all too serious a reality. The angry yam may end up in power. No, funnier than that is the source behind the leaks. You know that there's going to be there was rumored to be new MacBook Pros this week coming out on the 27th. We now know what at least the top surface of it looks like. We haven't seen the sides. We don't know what the ports look like yet, but we know what the keyboard looks like.
Would it be all metal with an Apple logo on it? Because if it is, I could have wrote the story.
Well, yeah, except that OLED touch panel they've been talking about over and over and over again.
Oh, it sounds like the ThinkPad bad idea. Go ahead.
Well, it turns out it's real. And
Scared.
there's Touch ID on the MacBook Pro now.
Okay.
Good thing. Think about it. Here's the thing. Source of leaked photos?
Apple?
Yep.
Doesn't Apple have what they call the global loyalty team, which name doesn't do what you think it does?
They doxed themselves, man. It's in the macOS Sierra update. They doxed themselves in a software update.
So Apple has an internal security department who will literally lock employees in their offices and do floor-by-floor sweeps to find people who did doxing.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what happens at this point. Do they sort of have a schizophrenic, weird twitching fest and lock themselves in their own room or something?
I think the build manager might be looking for a new job.
Hey, at least they have Git, so they'll be able to trace it back with Git blame to the person who did it. Yeah, that's not a good thing.
It's kind of sad. Kind of awesome. Kind of sad.
You're not getting a new one, are you?
I don't know. I could just nudge it off my desk. I mean,
I won't tell.
Right here. I just sort of.
You're running out of room for stickers.
Ordered or anything. Yeah, so there's that. Do you want to talk about the mailbag that doesn't get delivered to us anymore because Dave is hugging the mailbag?
He's got to hug something.
I just like the fact that I get to say Dave's hugging the mailbag on TV.
All right.
I don't get out of much. This is the sausage making part of the episode, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know what that means. All right, so
I'm going to show you how we make the sausage.
No, let's not show anybody how we make sausage. Never see how your food is made. Pro tip. All right, so actually, I wanted to talk to you about Sector, and I wanted to talk a little bit about B-Sides because Sector hit its 10th year.
Yes.
And for those of you that don't know what Sector is, it's Toronto and Canada's, I think, premier information security conference.
Definitely.
Take that, SC Magazine. And SC Magazine, you knew you had a problem when you started giving away tickets for free all the time. And B-Sides TO is the smaller, dumber little brother that tags along from time to time in true B-Sides tradition.
Yes.
And we're now in our 4th year and growing awesomely. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to share a little bit about, sort of the things that go on within B-Sides TO and the crew that we have. And I was curious if you would do the same and talk a little bit about Sector, because I think it's interesting that I don't think people realize what it takes to get a conference going, whether it's a not-for-profit community conference or whether it's for a somewhat for-profit commercial thing.
Sector isn't really about the profit so much as it's about the fact that Canada needs a serious security conference, and it's the serious one. All right, well, let's do a little ass covering first. Is that okay with you?
You can do ass covering for you because I don't have to ass cover on mine.
I was going to say, worst case scenario, you get unvoluntold to do stuff.
You pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a volunteer on the Sector Advisory Committee and have been for a while now. They're probably getting ready to kick me off any old time now. But the little important point is the Liquidmatrix security intern, much loved by all. If you've been hanging around with us for a long time, you also know that the Liquidmatrix security intern is my significant other, and she works for Sector. She's one of their very, very small number of paid employees. So I have to be very careful not to mess up the likelihood that she remains an employee. Sorry, Brian. Sorry, Bruce. Sorry, Jackie. Yeah, Sector is interesting. Canada's this weird kind of underserved market in a lot of different ways. In large part because of the size, right? Canada's like 35 million people-ish.
We all live on the peanut butter thin layer at the bottom.
Well, yeah, except for this giant freaking clump in southwestern Ontario. I mean, we're talking like 11 to 13 million people, depending on how you count it, live in this little tiny corner of Canada. And truly, southwestern Ontario is a very, very small part of Canada. But this means that it's also the commercial center. And I know we're going to get all kinds of arguments from all kinds of people saying, well, Montreal or Quebec or Calgary or Vancouver or whatever. The reality is Toronto's like half the population of Canada. Not quite, but you get the idea. The outcome from this is that you get a pretty decent little conference. Record turnout this year. We blew through every record we've ever had. We actually sold out of tickets. Like we were at fire capacity for the facility. Like we could not bring anybody else in, even if we'd wanted to.
Well, there was one ticket that was made available.
Well, yes, but that's just because. Well,
no, I'm talking about the auction.
Well, I know. I was going to say we have a long-standing tradition of making sure that there's always one available. It's never been a problem before, but this year we actually had to specifically set it aside. So that's a thing. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, yeah. So I think it was in our first year. Brian had kind of given us a nudge to start it, and so
we should point out this is Brian Bourne, the head of Black Arts Eliminated, which is the group that puts on Sector.
And his awesome wife, Reno, power couple, those two, along with the other Arlene power couple.
And don't forget about Bruce.
Yes, that is very true. Bruce is the quite quietly executing on so many.
Claire. I remembered. Bruce and Claire.
Bruce and Claire.
Bruce is the one who was on stage this year. Looked very much like a sad Seattle-based rap star with his Sector toque and hoodie.
I wanted to call him Skinny M&M, but anyways.
Of course, standing next to Bruce, who was unfortunately dressed as Barry Manilow.
Anywho, it's terrible.
Getting back to the charity auction.
So yeah, in our first year of doing B-Sides Toronto, Brian actually gave us 2 or 3 tickets and said, do whatever you want with them, give them away to the crowd or whatever. And we thought, hey, let's try an auction.
And this is serious conference tickets as well. This is like early bird is $700. If you're buying them the day before, it's like $1,300 or something. These are real tickets. And
every year since, Brian has kindly given us those tickets. This year, because Sector was completely sold out, we one of the tickets that was kindly given to us to auction off was a ticket to get into Sector 2016. So it was like quite literally the last ticket available on the whole goddamn planet.
Yep.
And so that went about $600 and change, and then we got another ticket which was for 2017. That went for $500, and then we raised another $600 or so selling Jammy Dodgers. It's a British thing, and T-shirts. About $1,800 or so in charitable collections done for B-Sides TO, but primarily because Sector supports that part of our program by giving us tickets for free to auction off. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's interesting. So many security conferences, effectively all of them probably, do something that has a charitable bent to it for sure. Sector's version of that is extraordinarily quiet, and if you don't know, or if you don't pay really close attention to the opening remarks, you have no idea this was actually happening. Sector buys all the T-shirts. And if you buy a T-shirt from Sector, they put all the money into the charity bucket.
The ladies
that standard conference T-shirt that you think is $20, there's no cost of T-shirt built into that. The $20 goes into the charity bucket.
Yeah, it was very cool. Actually, the ladies at the T-shirt thing were saying, "Yeah, it's all for charity," which was cool.
There's lots of shows that definitely take the profit on the merch. And Sector is not that show.
No, certainly not. We, on the other hand, we had to buy the T-shirts. And so B-Sides runs out of our own pocket, and we wait for sponsor money to come in. And for reference, like our sponsor money that we collect is no princely sum. The most expensive sponsor package we had this year was $2,000, which, a lot of other conferences, even some of the bigger B-Sides in other parts of Canada are charging many multiples off that. And power to them if they can command that sort of sponsorship dollar.
Yep.
It's 5 organizers picking up everything out of their own pocket and praying to God that ticket sales and sponsorship dollars will result in break even at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And it does. I mean, the good news is that every year we've broken even with a few $100 to spare to bootstrap for the next year.
Yep.
This year we also were sold out. It was last year, I think we went on sale 6 weeks before the event, and we became sold out maybe a few days before. This year, we went on sale about the same period, sold out 3 weeks before the event, and I got emails every single day from people. Can I buy a ticket? And as much as I want to see more people coming, fire code's a thing. But it gives me great joy to go, you missed it. It was on sale. We announced it. We're sold out.
How many, we call them the attempted name droppers?
None.
Really?
Actually, the crowd was really good.
No, I meant the people who didn't get a ticket who were trying to get one.
None.
Oh yeah, we got all kinds of, hey, I know, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure he'd want to make sure that I've got a ticket. Let me ask that person, because I also know them. Hey, friend, do you know this person? And their response is, who? Like, okay, well, good. Not going to do anything about them.
I probably would have just responded with and delete.
Yeah, one person was trying this run on Jackie and said, well, I know, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, yeah, so do I. Big frickin' deal. It's interesting. I mean, you guys start the work much later in the process. Sectors well over, we're over 2,500 this year. Takes place in the crappiest and yet only, for all intents and purposes, conference facility in downtown Toronto. And it starts, the planning for 2017 started the day after 2016 was over. Like literally Jackie stayed in Toronto and started work the next day, because the whole team's there anyways, and it will continue. It sort of varies through the year. It's kind of light through January and February for sure, but it's remarkable how much effort is required to put on a conference that comes through with no one noticing that anything went wrong.
Yeah, it's you're like the goalies of whatever sport ball you play, right? This year went exceptionally well. Fantastic organizational skills on the whole team, awesome volunteers who showed up to help on the day. And our greatest joy is that nothing went wrong. Everybody got a place to sit. Nobody complained about anything. Okay, granted, the air conditioning was a little bit sweaty.
Sector is the reverse. We got hundreds of complaints about it being too cold.
People just started disrobing to some appropriate level, and it was all solved. And
I did not.
I'd
like to point out, I did not. I stayed dressed all the way till the end because I was the last act.
And much appreciated that you stayed clothed.
Did you record that? Did you guys record that?
Yes, we did actually. So here, I will show you something very cool.
No.
This is all the video from B-Sides Toronto.
Okay, can you just go ahead and drop that for me? Maybe step on it.
No, it's already on my hard drive thinger now, and it's being compressed, and we're going to process it. But yeah, no, our planning starts a lot later, and it's in between our day jobs as well, and other things that all of us do. But yeah, it's if everything goes well, nobody complains, and that's praise enough.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting that we'll call it friend of I'm his boss. And friend of the show, definitely, Laura Payne, who was also one of the keynote speakers for Sector, and Lee Brotherston, and you and Fred and Dave Lewis.
Yeah.
Fred Dore. You guys pulled it off with very little indication that it was a thing that was not your job. And I mean, it's important to hear that kind of stuff, because you had a location that worked, and location is always the hard part with B-Sides things. Location's the hard part with any kind of conference, but for some reason B-Sides seems to attract that problem in particular. And I've been to a lot of B-Sides events. I mean, I've spoken at like half a dozen or more, and the quality of them is derived entirely from how hard the organizers are willing to work on it and to what standard they hold themselves. And that's something that security has a lot of trouble with. Almost especially security has a lot of trouble with. We accept slapdash fairly often, and we shouldn't. And you guys don't. It looked like
amazing organizational skills on the part of the team, but we were very fortunate that Ryerson stepped up and just offered lecture hall.
Yeah.
Which, you know, that's the thing. As you point out, venues are hard, and every year gone by, we've beat ourselves, you know, over the head trying to find a venue that was something we could afford, that was reasonably big enough, that wasn't terrible, and that was available, which generally tended to end in the words dive bar.
Yeah.
Until last year, we hit a breaking point where we got multiple complaints about the latest dive bar we'd selected. And that was when we went, yeah, let's not do that again. Let's try get a big boy, big girl venue. And we got lucky.
Yeah.
So we're now talking about for 2017, maybe even a second track if Ryerson will still hold us, and workshops, maybe, fingers crossed, and partnering up with the nice people at Hack Kids so they can actually run their event in peace and quiet. So it's taken on an interesting life of its own.
Crazy talk.
Yeah.
More stuff. Add more stuff.
That was probably the biggest key success factor. So credit to Laura Payne, who's like, yeah, we need 12 volunteers. And we'd usually had sort of a 1-to-1 organizer to volunteer ratio. I was like, no, that's crazy talk. Oh my God, she was so right.
Do what Laura says.
Yes.
Just write that down.
Totally.
Let's see. Big successes from Sector. Well, I'm now on a list, as are you, with people who've spoken at the same conference as Edward Snowden.
I didn't get to see his talk. You know why?
Why?
Because I thought my talk...
Because you didn't look at the schedule until you got there.
No. I looked at the schedule the day before, so I thought my talk was Wednesday morning. Turned out it was Tuesday morning.
You understand that this proves that you did not read any of the emails that Jackie sent you.
No, I did. I totally did. I'm just very bad at dates.
Yeah, actually what it spawned is that next year each of the speakers is going to receive a meeting request for when their talk is.
Well, I'm glad to be the village idiot that caused a good outcome.
Yeah, except for the poor sod who's going to have to assemble all those ICS files.
I'm sorry.
I don't think you really are.
No, not even lying.
All right.
In my defense, next year I'll actually start preparing my talk not 6 months in advance, but 12 months in advance. So here's the one funny thing that came out of this whole thing.
Okay, hit me.
So when did Sector round 1 CFP start? Was that, I'm guessing, April?
April.
So I actually had, for the first time ever, my submission for the CFP prepared before that. Not the last day of round 1, not the last day of round 2, as is my norm, but before the first day of round 1. And so I literally had in my calendar a reminder, hey, it's open, go submit. And I sent it in, and I was like, fingers crossed, because I was super freaked out about this talk. And I was like, will people like it, and will I get in? I don't know, but hey, let's see what happens. And then you wait, and finally round 1 closes, and the advisors do the thing they do, and then I get that lovely email that I've been selected. And I think I was sitting on the couch that night, and I get the email, and I turn to my wife, and I go, I got accepted. Now the hard part starts. I have to work. I have to write the talk, and I have to write the software and do all the things. And she stops, and she looks at me and goes, what are you talking about? What do you mean you haven't started yet? Who does that? I'm like, everybody in security?
Yeah.
My wife comes from academia and dentistry, so not a thing there, apparently.
No. Generally speaking, one does not mess with dentists.
No. Should we move on to brieflies?
Well, I was going to say the important point for next year is that Sector is in November.
Yes, that's going to be interesting.
It got pushed, so just that doesn't change the timelines on anything, though. We're still going to get shit done early, right?
Yeah.
And looking forward to a crazy amount of success for next year.
Yeah, no, congratulations to everybody. Look at us.
Exactly. Brieflies.
You go first, please.
Okay, so there's this thing called Liquidmatrix TV. Subscribe.
Wait, are we on it now?
Yes, we are. Yeah. We've had much discussion internally about this. For now, we're continuing to do the split. We send the audio podcast to the RSS feed, and you get to it through your podcast thinger, and we send the videos to YouTube, and you can subscribe to the channel there. And we're going to give this an actual try. So far, it's been Ben who's contributed the most to the talking parts of the videos. I've tried to contribute in other potentially useless ways. And then I actually did one today. I'm kind of proud of myself.
Oh, it was very cool. And I love the scenic backdrops of southwestern Ontario.
I try. I really do. As opposed to the scenic backdrops of pillows, the ceiling of Union Station for some reason.
Not Union Station, but close. I'll practice good OPSEC and let people figure that one out for themselves.
Okay, well, that's the ceiling that used to be in Union Station.
That is true. It used to be.
And yeah, we're having fun. And
it is.
That was your requirement, was the Optimax for fun and general utility to the industry.
Well, that's it. Although I think like a night ago, my wife, after the kids are in bed, my wife turns to me and goes, "So why have you been recording videos of yourself?" That involved a whole conversation. I'm not one to go and tell my wife that I'm doing something until it's actually happening, because I find if I talk about it, I don't actually get around to doing it. So.
Right. Spend too much time talking, too much time having fun.
There we go.
So yeah, that's a thing, and we're going to see what happens. And if people like it, great. And if they don't, well, screw you. We're having fun.
That is. It's nice. It's a different experience. And I know it's briefly, but it's interesting the workflow that we've gotten. I think you take more care with the editing, but when it's just me shooting, then I'm kind of working on those 5 minutes of look up some stuff to talk about, 2 minutes, actually don't 2 minutes, about 10 minutes of shooting, 20 minutes of editing. And by the time I get to the office downtown, hit the Wi-Fi, press the upload button, and done. And yeah, it's kind of working.
As soon as you remember to look at the camera part of your...
You know what? Like, listen, the tiny little dot thing is like just so, I can't, oh wait, it's there. I should get a sticky. Or no, let's solve a problem with one of those 4K selfie sticks that are self-stabilizing.
Again, with the toy budget is just not there for me. I come home with a very expensive DJI product, and my wife will not be okay with that.
Hey, advertising. This space is not for sale. But if you'd like us to try out your product for free, we'd be happy to do it and say terrible things about it.
Oh, we might even say nice things about it.
We might, but we'll most likely say terrible things because it has to be an objective review.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
All right.
No, don't sponsor us. What's my briefly? So I spoke about this this morning on our mini TV episode, but I think it's worth mentioning again in case you didn't hear it. Who likes Sean Connery?
I do.
Who likes Finnish Sean Connery?
I like to say Nordic.
Nordic?
I think it's his blue eyes.
And the blonde hair and the ponytail.
Yes.
Man, he's good-looking Cyberman.
Oh, Miko.
Wow. Anyways, he has nothing to do with except for the fact that it comes from the company he works at. Although maybe he makes a guest lecture. The nice people of Helsinki University and F-Secure have put together an actual course on becoming a cybersecurity analyst, specifically that you will gain enough skills and knowledge to do reverse engineering of malware things. And I think that's absolutely awesome. I'm guessing that came from the internal training material. And now they're giving it away for free, open online free course. Every single company now has the ability to take their young, junior, just getting started cybersecurity person and go, here, go do that course and come out with some skills at the end that will benefit us, and all for the wonderful cost of...
That's a nice thing.
That is. Good job, guys. All right.
This is the end.
This is the end.
So, assuming that anybody besides me ever gets to it, theoretically, you should find raw feed stories going on over at the LSDP raw feed Tumblr thinger. Gratuitous self-promotion, upcoming appearances. Dave claims to have only 5 more conferences this year, but his wife is not expecting him home for dinner anytime soon.
If you can catch Dave at all 5 conferences, you can get a guest spot on the show.
Yeah.
You have to get pictures of him with you in close proximity.
The Pixar didn't happen rule. Me, I'm going to be at O'Reilly Security in New York City. I'm teaching that crazy-ass advanced cloud course. And then I'm taking my family to Walt Disney World. And so,
woo!
I'm going to Orlando not for a conference. I'm going there because I'm having a goddamn vacation.
Went to Orlando for fun, got the Zika virus for memory's sake. No, don't get that.
I'm not planning on having any more kids. I'm okay with that.
Oh, it's all good then.
Yep. What are you doing, Ben?
Work.
Okay. Matt, we don't know. We believe he's hiding behind his beard. He does show up on Twitter and Facebook, but will not speak to us in the Liquidmatrix Security Digest Slack. Will,
is he too cool for us now that he's like famous?
Oh, he's way too cool for us. Will is also unknown. You might want to check CBC Calgary though, because I hear he's a correspondent.
Does he hand out autographs? I should have gotten an autograph. I didn't get an autograph.
Talks about the cybers.
Wait. But the little old man story. If you haven't heard our podcast from Sector, because like all 5 of us were there, Will's story ever, like we've all been in the same. Like we've met each other individually in different conferences, but yeah, it was awesome. Will's old man story, just perfectly delivered, and I wish we could have recorded the video of that because that was fantastic.
Yeah,
we should live stream next year or something.
We should.
We will. Why not? Done. Okay.
It's probably trivial at this point.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about Sector 2017, check back with us. We'll have awesome codes, just not right now. And you wrote this one. You get to say closing thoughts.
Okay, but we're not going to oversample and all those good things, right?
No.
Okay. Terry Bradshaw says,
I got nothing, man.
It's Terry Bradshaw. What do you want? Nobody gets anything from him. It's Terry, baby.
All right. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye.
About a week or so. And, well, hey, you can see us pretty much daily at this point. Unbroken Run, 7 days in a row.
We're recording tomorrow morning? Yeah,
it'll be 8 by the time you get this, because this podcast is coming out after tomorrow morning's mini, so that this can be the 100th episode.
Oh, I should definitely record that, otherwise I'll make a liar for this. Hey, while you're at it, folks, please do subscribe to the mini channel, because if we get 100 subscribers, and that's not a lot to shoot for, the people at YouTube will allow us to have an actual cool URL as opposed to some randomly generated thing. And while you're at it, if you could please give Dave and Matt and Will some grief, we'd appreciate it.
And if you think we're great, let us know. And if you think we suck, let us know.
Yeah.
That was easy.
Cool.
Okay.
Technology's cool. Welcome to the future.
Exactly. Oh, and catch us on iTunes and Stitcher. Cool stuff.
All free.
Okay, bye, everybody.
Bye.